Ladies and gentlemen, the proof is in the pudding. And in this case, I'm the pudding. And if you're new to this channel, I'm Magdiale Walmark. I'm a two-time James Beard nominated chef for plant-based cooking, a certified biodynamic horticulturalist, and a Food Network competition cooking show champion in Clash of the Vegetarians. And if you're new to this channel, everybody's new to this channel. It's a new channel, but still, I've already fielded some inquiries into why on a channel called Super Healthy Cooking has there not yet been any cooking. And so I want to address that question in today's video by establishing some fundamentals and some principles that will explain where I'm going with this whole thing. And in a nutshell, what I would say to why hasn't there been any cooking on your cooking channel or a channel that has the word cooking in it, I would say because I don't want to put the cart before the horse. And the horse, in this case, are the principles or laws of super healthy cooking. And there are three principles or laws of super healthy cooking. And the first two, I feel I have to address and explain before I can get into the kitchen and start cooking up a storm. There are videos that I've already created on why intention transfer works. I've already begun a series on biodynamic agriculture, so you can look at that and begin to educate yourself and get some agricultural literacy, and there's going to be more on that. And then there's going to be cooking videos coming down the pipe. Please like and subscribe so you can be notified when those are online. And in addition, I will be doing videos on other kinds of like superfoods and not so much supplementation, but the idea that there are other things that we can quote unquote consume or ingest that can help with our health too, that may not necessarily be cooking in the kitchen, but can supplement. Now, the first law is that your mood goes in your food. This is the law of intentional activity. Generally speaking, we pour our intention wherever we direct our attention. And so when you're in the kitchen and you're doing your thing in the kitchen, you are consciously or unconsciously directing your thoughts and moods into your preparations. And so I could get into the kitchen and start doing my thing and showing you guys a lot of tricks of the trade. And if you would like to see those tricks of the trade, I do offer online cooking courses. My specialty is plant-based cooking, but I do a lot of other cooking. But my first online course is a farm-to-table, gluten-free, plant-based cooking course that gives you the fundamentals of plant-based home cooking. So if you're itching to see what I can do and learn something new, then go for that. Links in the description below. But back to intentional cooking. So before we start anything, before we start the day, before we start exercising, before we start conversations with people, before we start cooking and eating, we need to be in the proper mindset. And there really is a science that is now coming out about how it works and why it works. And the bottom line is, it works and it's important, and you need to practice that if you want to get the most out of your meals and thereby strive for a super healthy lifestyle. And on that note, I want to say that the principles that I'm talking about, these laws or principles, it's an ideal, okay? I admit it. Many times we don't we're not in the best mood when we're cooking or eating and things like that. And, we might starve to death if we had to wait till, all the stars were aligned and everything was perfect before we took care of business. So I would like you to consider these, or putting it in the proper perspective. It's an ideal. And if you miss the ideal, no big deal. You just kind of keep working on trying to get better and better at practicing these principles. And then the number 2 principle or law, to me, one of the most important laws. I guess they're all important, but I've spent a good deal of time studying law number 2. And that law is nutritious food only comes from fertile soil. So all food comes from the earth, no other place but the earth. And for food to really have nutritious qualities, and beyond that, also energy or forces, and I go into that in some of my other videos on biodynamic agriculture. There are links in the description below. So before you start cooking, obviously, you have to have something to cook. You need your ingredients. And so it is essential, I can't emphasize enough, that in order to practice super healthy cooking and have a super healthy lifestyle, that you must have an understanding of how these ingredients are produced, basically what I call agricultural literacy. Along with that, you should understand what these certification labels mean. You should have some idea about organic farming systems, perhaps permaculture. Maybe you could even do some homesteading or grow some of the ingredients yourself. You should have an idea of perhaps some of the regulations that are going on in this country and other countries. Certainly an awareness and an understanding of something like genetically modified ingredients. Sometimes it's navigating a minefield and not just choosing high quality ingredients. Of course, you want to avoid toxins and poisons, etc. So the number 2 principle, before we can start getting in there and making the magic, is to understand and know and practice an agricultural literacy, have a philosophy about establishing very, I could put 1,000 varies in there, rigorous sourcing standards. So also, in addition to that, ultimately, we'd like to enjoy our meals. So we want nutrition, but it's not fuel. We're not sticking a hose in our mouth and just pumping in, some kind of fuel. We're actually going through this process, this very lovely process. Perhaps we're doing something like going to the farmer's market and, talking to some farmers and choosing the night's vegetables and meats or whatever, and, then bringing them home and, contemplating what we're going to make for that night for dinner, perhaps inviting some friends over for dinner, all part of this like intentional process that's now, you see, woven in to this agricultural literacy in this process of really developing enjoyment and pleasure and lifestyle choices that are woven into our food choices. And when we choose really high quality ingredients, we are ultimately choosing to make our meals really delicious. The better the ingredients, the better flavor that they have. And, I have a video that's called "You Can't Pull Blood from a Stone." And if you happen to choose low quality ingredients for whatever reason, or some lower quality ingredients have snuck their way into your kitchen, there's practically nothing you can do to make it taste better. I might be given as a gift some, conventional zucchini or something, and, I will throw it out before I will poison myself. I will fast, if I'm traveling. Like many people ask me, so what do I do when I'm traveling? I can't find good food. I'm stuck in the middle of, small town USA, and the only thing there is like a Wendy's and a Tim Hortons. And, my advice in those situations would be to, number one, you knew where you were going. take the proper precautions, pack a survival kit. Number two is, I know it's difficult for some people not to eat on a regular basis and have their meals, but sometimes it's better to fast and go without eating than it is to poison yourself. Okay, so number three, and the one perhaps everybody who is familiar with my cooking style and my wonderful personality is just waiting for me to get into the kitchen and start cooking vegetables and make the most amazing dishes you've ever seen, and if you recreate them in your kitchen, you've ever tasted in your life. And once again, if you want immediate instruction, cooking classes, online cooking classes in the description below. But we do need to have some fundamental skills. So when we bring these beautiful ingredients into the kitchen and we get into the proper mindset and are ready to throw down and make something fabulous for ourselves or for family and friends and loved ones, we should have some basic skills. We should have some knife skills. We should know some basic cooking techniques. Maybe that's just sauteing and steaming and boiling and roasting and pan frying. And those are the basic skills I advocate. I think I named 5, and there's really just 5 skills you need to do. And if you master those skills, then I guarantee you can be very creative and you can make some really cool things. Because also in this case, ultimately, really good high quality ingredients don't need a lot of complex preparation. If they're really good, then they will speak for themselves. So if you have some beets that are in season that you got at the farmer's market or wherever you got them or grew them yourself, if you simply coated them in a little bit of olive oil and threw them into the oven until they roasted and were tender, and peeled them and tossed them maybe with a little bit more olive oil, salt and pepper, and some balsamic vinegar, or even just some sesame oil if you want to go more Asian style. If you already haven't gleaned, this channel is not just about nutrition and supplements and cooking. What I'm doing is I'm exploring ideas in esoteric philosophy, alternative medicine, and modern science, and applying those theories and ideas and principles and philosophies to our practices in the kitchen. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.